Hello, I'm Bookface. Now let me tell you about a little website called the Aswang Project. If you want to look into the mythology of the Philippines, this website is amazing. This really sounds like a sponsorship. It's not. I like this website. It's very useful. Saved me a lot of time researching. It's got a good list of sources, a huge list of creatures, and it's got all the real basic ones and also the real obscure ones that I have not been able to find basically anywhere else. Basically, good website. You should go to it. Again, not sponsored or anything. I just really like this website. And that website is especially good for this video because today's topic is the Aswang. If you know Philippine folklore, probably know vaguely what this is. But if you don't, well, it's a little complicated. So I'd say at least the closest comparison is like a vampire. It has a lot of the same details that the European vampire has or has gained over the years. But it also has traits somewhat like a ghoul, you know, the corpse-eating things. But sometimes it also seems more like a witch. Sometimes they're shapeshifters. And on top of all that, there are plenty of very unique details that don't really line up with anything else in the world. Long story short, the Aswang is odd. And it's actually why this video isn't on the Aswang. It's on some creatures under the label of Aswang, because I think the Aswang deserves its own video. And we're going to talk about some specific forms of this creature across the various different cultures of the Philippines, because there's a lot of them. Like, there are a bunch of different people groups in the Philippines with very distinct myths and folklore. So, it's interesting because previously I was just kind of like, okay, let's research Philippine folklore. And I'm like, which one? There's so many. Which is the opposite of a problem for me. I want to make very clear. I think that is awesome. Oh yeah, and what this means for the video basically is I'm going to be saying what people these different legends come from. Instead of just from the Philippines, it'll be the various people groups that actually have this specific legend, to make that clear. And an interesting thing about this, which I don't really talk about too much in this video, but definitely came up in researching, is since there are a bunch of distinct cultures, but they do share things occasionally, there are a few that I've found that have basically the same name, but are completely different across different interpretations. So, yeah. It's a little confusing. I'll have to sort through that before I do another video like this, but for the most part, I think I've got a good grasp on all that I've chosen for topics. So with all that out of the way, let's jump right in. If anyone actually gets that joke, please validate me in the comments. I'd love to share in my nerd jokes, but I have a feeling this one might be so obscure no one gets it. First up we have, one of the most commonly known, the Manananggal, which is a creature from the Bicol people. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say anything else either. Putting that disclaimer in again. The name Manananggal comes from the word tanggal, which means to separate. The vampire of divorce. Oh. Wait a minute. It uses its long, thin tongue to drain the blood of pregnant women and also may eat the heart or the fetus from the pregnant woman. And yeah, this thing woke up and chose violent very consistently. And this is a very frequent detail among the various Aswang. If I had to take a random guess as to why, I'd say maybe it's an explanation for a high infant mortality rate, but that is completely magically appearing directly out of my rear end, which is where some Aswang actually attack at. I'm not joking. There are some butt-sucking Aswang. Anyways, some stories instead say that she preys on men because, as the story goes, she was a lady that got left at the altar, which is a very different system of targeting. And also kind of goes back to my separating joke. Random coincidence, because I was not thinking about that, but hey, cool, I guess. Anyways, now, sometimes this curse was passed on in a very specific way. That way being having a black chick, giving it to a future Manananggal, and it then, I guess, after she eats it. By the way, Manananggal are usually women. Might just be the depictions, might be a regional thing. I don't know, it's just, that's the most common thing. This chick would then eat the internal organs, but keep her alive anyways. Oh, you always got a little buddy on hand. Friendship. But also, why does this really make me think of Venom? That sounds oddly like Venom. Sometimes the attack of the Manananggal wouldn't actually kill the victim, but would turn them into a Manananggal. I just have to imagine that the Manananggal's needle tongue can just inject a black chick into the person's body. You're like,
Why do I smell chicken? Is that my breath? Also, ow, my organs.
Now, in terms of looks, the Manananggal looks like a woman who splits her body at the waist, and the upper body flies around, with intestines trailing behind it. Also, I like to imagine a little black chick hanging onto those intestines for dear life.
Wake me up inside. Wake me up inside.
Oh, also there are big bat wings, which I didn't actually write in my notes, but it's a very recurring detail. So, yeah, bat wings. Yeah. Anyways, this creature will fly at night, and if sunlight touches its separated body, then it'll die. Because of this, it was believed you could kill a Manananggal by putting trash, ash, salt on the lower half of its body. Yeah, just get some cinders, put it right in the ash hole. What? Next we have the Balbal, an Aswang-like creature from the Tagbanua people. It was believed to glide from rooftop to rooftop like a horrifying flying squirrel. It was human-shaped with long curved nails that it used to tear up thatched roofs. Is it a bit drafty in here? It snatches up corpses or sleeping people with a very long, powerful tongue. I'd like to imagine when a Balbal scoops up a sleeping person, they think it's a dead body, and then they're like,
"Oh, geez, dang, my bad, bro. I thought you were dead. Don't worry, I'll fix that in a minute."
It was then thought to replace the corpses it steals with banana stalk doubles. So, like, does this double move, or is it just like a little dummy made of banana stalks? Oh, man, they've been sleeping for a long time. Does anyone smell bananas? It was thought that they could be frightened away by placing oil on a door. And I'm kind of curious how that works since they don't really use the door. They crawl in through the ceiling. Maybe the Balbal is just like,
Sure, they're trying their best. I can respect that. I'll get food somewhere else. Somebody's got to be taking a nap around here somewhere.
Also, having gone through all my notes and feeling like it, I guess, I just want to point out that this thing, and this is very much, feels like straight up like the lickers from Resident Evil. There's no real purpose to that statement. Maybe a random conspiracy theory, but it's just a little casual observation, and me having played a lot of Resident Evil games now. Lastly, we have Pooh, a legend which comes from the Orde people, who I would like to apologize to in advance for the obvious jokes that will be coming from the name Pooh. I had to do it, my mind wouldn't let me not do that. Coincidental linguistic similarity strikes again. Now the Pooh looks like a normal person, has no wings, no fangs, which by the way makes it really difficult to draw, so I just kind of had to improvise with some other vaguely Aswangy details.
That's a human person.
It was believed to be similar to the wak-wak, which is actually not that helpful because the wak-wak is one of those things I mentioned earlier that the name exists across multiple different cultures in the Philippines and kind of means something a little different for all of them. So the Pooh was thought to only come out at the full moon, sticking with those fancy vampire tropes. Like it. And it was thought that it would shout Pooh when still far from the house and say it again as it gets closer. I'm trying. Pooh, Pooh. Pooh. Man, guess somebody's been eating Taco Bell. By the fourth Pooh, it was believed they were already in your house.
I'm inside your house!
Oh no, maybe you just need to borrow some toilet paper. It's believed that the Pooh will steal your children if you don't wake up from hearing it, but it won't if you do wake up because it's too scared that a parent might beat them down. Coward! Those parents scared the Pooh out of you, didn't it? Ha ha ha! Oh, it was also thought that it would kill you if it realized you were alone. I'm in danger. And there we have 3 different forms of Aswang from across the Philippines. I thought this would be trickier to edit. It might be tricky to edit. I thought this was going to be trickier to research because it seemed like a very specific kind of creature, but like I said, there's a lot of different people groups in the Philippines, and all of them have a little bit of a different view on the Aswang. So, yeah, I've easily got enough for like 2 more of these. I guess that's really the only conclusion I have. The Aswang is cool. If you like this video, please do a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!